Good evening, I'm Beverly Williams.
And I'm Charles Bierbauer. Tonight, Impact takes the form of a human relations seminar conducted by Dr. Charles King, president of the Urban Crisis Center of Atlanta, Georgia, and his associate, Farrah Stokes.
The seminar is designed to identify, analyze, and help eliminate racism. Our Impact staff have selected 15 participants from the Philadelphia area who will serve to duplicate the mixture of blacks and whites in institutions. For our purposes, what is usually a 2-day, 16-hour seminar was condensed into 3 hours. The clock you will see will show the passage of time during the taping session. Perhaps for the first time, you are about to see stereotypes broken down, attitudes change, and blacks and whites whose worlds and understanding finally come together.
Before the session, King set 5 rules for the group. He asks the participants for honesty. He asks them to focus exclusively on the black-white problem. King does not dismiss the existence of other racial and ethnic minorities and the validity of their problems, but the divisions of blacks and whites are undoubtedly the most critical in America. Black-white is King's emphasis in his work, and it's ours in this program. King also asks that the participants not relate personal experiences, but deal with their personal attitudes. Although some of the participants knew each other, they met as a group only just prior to this session.
And King's final rules were that the individuals commit themselves to the full session and be willing to participate in this kind of seminar. King finds much of the behavior is highly predictable. He is himself the catalyst which produces honesty.
Are you listening to the music? I am. Are you looking at the children? I am. And I see some of them in the cities and some of the towns. Just doing things. And they seem to cry out, help me, help me, help me, help me. There are times when we haven't really given them much to work with. I'm nobody. I'm just somebody who's trying to be a man just like you, trying to love a woman just like you, trying to watch sons and daughters grow just like you, trying to understand the earth just like you, trying to farm just like you, trying to build and live and smile and work just like you. So as it is, just like you, I don't know very much, but I do see and I do hear and I do listen to people just like you. And I love the land I live in, just like you. And I feel ancient in the land I live in, just like you. My nation's made up of hills and valleys, and mountains, and gold and silver, trees and rivers, and people. Black and red and brown and white and yellow. But people just like you. And I love order. And with order, I make law. Just like you. I've been black. I've been red. I've been white, I've been poor, I've been rich, I've been cold, I've been hungry, and I've been strong. Just like you. And I'm old and young and beautiful, and I love, and I'm strong. Just like you. And my daddy, and my mama, and my brother, and my sisters, and my cousins. just like you. Hey, partner, are we gonna live in this land? Hey, partner, are we gonna build in this land? Are you going to? Just fine. You ought to.
Okay. Now, Fred, if you were to describe what you just heard to someone who wasn't here, and you begin saying, I heard, will you explain what you heard in that recording? What did you hear?
Well, what I heard was a man who was making an appeal for the things that everyone wants out of life.
Okay.
I think that's the best way I could
Okay.
surmise
Bert,
it.
what did you hear?
Oh, pretty much the same thing, but kind of simplistic. And it was very platitudinous. I mean, those are all very nice things, but I'm not quite, I didn't have much of a response to it, quite frankly.
Okay. Okay, Jeff?
I'm afraid I find things like that to be a total con job on everybody. I think it's totally unrealistic. Certainly each one of us maybe inside has feelings of that type, but things like that turn me off.
Okay. Pat?
It was too contrived. I mean, he was trying to appeal to all of us and trying to say we're all in the same boat, we all should relate to each other.
Right.
But
Okay.
I don't go for it.
Madeline?
I thought it was very nice in that sense of the word. It's nice. Nothing more.
Isn't this weird? Nancy, what did you hear?
I heard a voice, and I found what he had to say interesting, and I enjoyed listening to it. I sort of went with him to his hills and his trees and his children.
All right, now, you hear what you said. Now listen to this. Roxanne, what did you hear?
I heard a appealing person asking what really the true American dream should be. And I heard a person saying that I am a human being also, and that I want the same things you want. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to strive just like you. And to me, it was very moving, and it was very true.
Eric, what did you hear?
I heard a man making an appeal, but somehow the whole thing left me with no clue as to exactly who he was or who he was talking to.
Are you sure about that, Eric?
Yes.
You're now witnessing the first dishonesty in the room, what Eric just said. As a matter of fact, everyone who answered was dishonest. Let's see if I can get any honesty out of anyone in the room. Bert, what did you hear?
I too heard an appeal. It was an appeal that was directed towards our emotions, which I believe
Okay,
is
that's all right. Lily, what did you hear?
I heard a man saying the things that I believe in and wish could happen.
All right. Now, why does that sound contrived to you then, Jeff?
Why does it sound
Here's a woman said, here is something I believe in and wish could happen, but yet you dismissed it as something contrite and trivial.
You were asking me about the recording. I
Right.
didn't say that I don't have those dreams. I said I do have those feelings inside. I was giving my response to the recording itself.
You have those feelings inside.
Of course, I
Of
think
what?
every man has.
Of what? Of what? What feeling do you have inside?
Well, of being a man, a person.
What prevents you from being a man and being a person?
There are many things that prevent
Name some.
other people,
What other people?
money,
What other people?
jobs.
Oh, that's funny. You can attain those things, though, can't you? Work hard. Can't you?
I think that's a very general
No,
application.
it's
but yes.
the truth. It's not a deal. It is the truth. If you work hard, get a good education, you can achieve everything you just mentioned, can't you? The name of the game is adjustment. Let's pretend. Let's pretend there's no problem. Let's pretend the blacks and whites in the room, we all have the same problems. That's the game of pretension. It's the game of hypocrisy that whites play with blacks and blacks concede because they don't want conflict. When every black person in this room knows that every white person in this room has decided advantage in this culture over them, and a white person would not concede that, they like to pretend that the great American dream is true for black people as it is for themselves. And they would dare take that cry of a man who says he has pain and unable to have equal opportunity and say, that is also my problem. It is not. And you lie in your throats when you say it is. All whites need in this country is an education and contacts, and you move on in this culture with skill and contacts. And I don't give a damn how much a black person gets. His color still is the thing that keeps him from going on to the next step. Now, anyone who does not face that, you're not facing the problem. Am I right, Rich?
I think partially right.
What part did I say that was not right?
I would say that it's not an all-inclusive statement that you made, that it can pay off to be black also today.
Let me put this to you. Let's say that I am leaving room for possible exceptions. On the whole, is the statement not true? The whites have a decided advantage in this nation, and that blacks are disadvantaged because of their color.
Oh, I can't disagree with that.
Okay, now wait a minute. Gene, will you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Will you agree with that statement, Roz?
Yes.
Will you agree with that statement, Madeline?
Certainly.
Would you agree with that, Bert?
Yes.
Would you agree with that, Stan? Certainly. Would you agree with that, Fred?
Yes, I would.
Pat?
Yeah.
Nancy?
Right.
Okay, Nancy, what did you think of the statements coming from this side of the room over here? What do you think was right? Do you think that I was wrong, or were they right in challenging what I was saying?
No, I think you're basically right. This country is a white man's country.
Now, who in this room, based on what you've heard so far, would you say is racist?
I can't see his nameplate, but he sees it in front of him.
Stanton?
Yes.
You think Stanton is? Okay. Anyone else?
Based on what? Based on what did you come to the conclusion in the few minutes we've been here that Stanton is a racist?
You're white, brother.
That's enough?
Oh, I disagree with that.
Oh, you do?
Absolutely.
Well, let me prove it. Are you prejudiced, Stanton?
Pardon?
See, he heard me. He heard me.
I didn't hear
Are
you.
you prejudiced?
Am I prejudiced? To some extent.
See, that's an evasive answer.
No, everybody, I think, is prejudiced.
That's a
in
lie.
some way.
Watch this.
Watch what?
Not everybody will say, so are you prejudiced against black people?
To a degree.
To a degree, see. You don't qualify prejudice. You're either prejudiced or you're not.
Well, I may have some more prejudices against other people.
Well, I didn't ask you about other people. Did I ask you about black people? Did I not? You see the evasion of the answer? You see how I'm getting now down to racism? Now watch this. I'm going to prove to you, Bert, that every white person in this room, with one exception, is a racist. Listen to these evasive answers.
I don't think you have to be of one color not to be unprejudiced against another.
That's true.
Even though I'm white, I don't have to be prejudiced against black, and I don't think I am.
You're not prejudiced against black?
No, and by actions I haven't been.
Are you prejudiced, Nancy, against black people? That's a hard question. Let's face it, Nancy.
I know it.
I'll allow you to pause. The very pause tells me that you are. Pat, are you prejudiced against black people? You see, when you pause, you don't want to face it.
I object to that. I think that's a very stupid thing to say.
Are you prejudiced against black people,
No,
Madeline?
I'm not.
You aren't?
I am not.
Well, say it right there. Don't move an inch. Are you prejudiced against black people, Gene?
Yeah, I think.
Are you prejudiced against black people, Roz?
Since you have already inferred it, I guess I must be.
Don't go by what I say. Go by what you feel.
That's what I feel. I feel like you have already picked my number. So since you've called me a name, I've got to follow it then.
I remember when you first walked into the room. Now, right now, you're showing me resentment, and I'm asking you
Right. I dislike you being so aggressive.
Hey, thank you. Jeff, are you prejudiced against black people?
I'll have to say yes.
Thank you. Roz, I say to you non-aggressively, are you prejudiced against black people?
Yes.
Thank you.
You started to ask me
Now, watch this. You sit there and tell me that you're prejudiced against black people, yet you resent me for being aggressive.
Why not?
Think about that. You know what your prejudice does to me and my people?
I dislike being a person being aggressive to me.
Why should I respect your needs, your desires, your comfort when you tell me you're prejudiced against black people?
Well, you started coming off like that the minute I walked into this room.
You're just as prejudiced against whites.
Well, let's check that out. Are you prejudiced against whites, Roxanne?
Yes, I am.
Are you prejudiced against whites, Eric? Yes. Are you prejudiced against whites, Bert?
I'm hesitating.
Thank you. You're a bold and Are you prejudiced against whites, Lillian?
Are you, Charles?
Yes.
Very good.
I'm very honest.
How prejudiced?
He said there are no degrees.
There is no degree.
Yes, there are.
I beg to differ with you.
Well, you can't beg to differ.
Well, I'm going to beg the difference because there is a certain degree that I am prejudiced to whites, and I'm prejudiced to whites of the treatment that they give to me when I address them in a room.
We'll get to that.
I want to be accepted as a human being, regardless of my color.
Yeah.
I thought we were here to try and talk about the differences between blacks and whites.
Well, I'll be dog. He would rather discuss the difference between blacks and whites than to discuss how to help blacks. Another insensitive statement. Hey, Roxanne, can you deal with that one?
Well, when I get done here, I'm going to go hallelujah and just walk right out of here today, and I'm going to solve all of your problems,
Now, this is
right?
what white people do. They try to exaggerate what I'm saying to keep them facing up to the practical reality of the present. Now he makes it an exaggeration. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Now walk out here and sound all the black people. I never said that.
Well, brother, I'm revealing my prejudice.
You see how?
Hey, look how proudly you say it.
Right.
Can I say something? This is the one thing, too, that you have to remember.
Hey, talk to him. Talk to him.
All right. This is the one thing that my white friends don't understand, that we are a complex people, and our complexity is brought on from the attitudes of our white friends. Now, you just said one word that will turn the average black on your back. And there's two words that makes them fight fast. Now, you just said hallelujah.
Right.
And hallelujah signifies we're only religious people and nothing else. And that's what the first black out in the street's going to cop your head for. The next thing is, when you're talking to us, you say, you people. And that's another thing that runs us right jam up the wall. We're not you people no more than you people. And when we say talk to you, we don't say you people. But to turn a black person on, to run you up the wall, you say, well, you know, you people do this, and you're being condescending when you do it.
Well,
and that cuts down a man's, well, he's still got dignity and pride.
Right. Now watch this. Now watch what he's going to say to her to show he didn't hear a thing she said. Watch him now put her down for speaking what she really feels. She has just told him how he affects her. Now he's going to add fire to the flame. Go ahead, now say to her what you're getting ready to say, Jeff. I dare you.
Fire to the flame.
I dare you. I dare you to say to her what you really want to say now.
You may succeed in shutting us all up with your tyrannical attitude.
Now hold it. Ernestine?
Yes.
I'm surprised at you.
No, I'm not surprised at
This is
myself.
what whiteism. She is mad because I'm putting down a white man.
No, it
as
isn't
the
just
black-
this. It's the whole performance that I'm
Why
reacting
am
to.
I? What do you mean a performance? I'm for real. I'm not performing anything.
All right. You pick on one after the other.
Who have I picked on that I should not have picked on?
I don't know, but I don't think picking on is a good method to use.
In other words, niggas, don't raise your voices. Don't act insolent. Don't be arrogant. Don't
No, I
press
didn't
the
say
point.
that at all.
Be nice. Be kind.
You're putting words in my
I
mouth.
put no words in your mouth. You just
But
spoke
just what you said, you interpreted what I had said.
Hey,
You
look,
thought
we're
you
talking about Jeff's insensitivity.
Well,
right
if he
now.
doesn't want to answer, he doesn't have to, nor do I.
It's not a matter of not wanting to answer.
I'm afraid to say anything because you intimidate every
Ernestine,
person,
listen to this
especially
woman.
the
I
whites.
understand what you're saying, Lillian.
Yes, you're
Understand this.
purposely.
Did you hear this black woman pour out her soul in terms of how what he said affected her?
Yes. Well, I at this point, this kind of method completely paralyzed any centers in my brain.
Well, let me explain the method to you.
What? Could I?
Let me explain the method to you.
Because you immediately before
White
you finish the
people
sentence, dive in on it.
consistently deny understanding what black people are saying. And then when black people go in and start raising their voice, then white people get mad and will not face the problem because you don't like the way I act. Rich, are you catching on?
Yeah,
Well, tell Stanton what I'm trying to say.
Don't be so uptight and take it as a very personal intimidation, because we're all guilty of prejudice, and the sooner we face that and the sooner we try to do something about it, the better off we are.
I don't resent the leader as a catalyst for our ideas here. I know this is a method. Nothing wrong with it.
Well, I think he's evoked some pretty accurate...
Good therapy for us.
Hey. See, you're intellectualizing something very serious.
He used the word
therapy. Therapy. You see, he says the wrong things all the
I didn't really
time.
like that. I mean,
Eric, will you tell them why that insults you?
Healthy.
it's healthy in
For
one
who?
way.
Look,
I mean, I
intellectually,
resent
culturally,
that. I
socially.
really do.
Listen to how cold and crass that sounds, Jeff.
We're talking about true feelings. You're saying,
thank God,
you are
Jeff,
saying,
thank God. Wait a minute.
oh man,
Jeff just said something that made my heart feel good.
what was it?
Jeff hears now for the first time what
was
the
it,
problem
Jeff?
is.
Well,
I hope I'm going to put you on the spot, Jeff.
No,
no, you're not. No,
Well, you're doing it now.
I have to agree with you that what Stanton just said is, it sounds like he's going to go to a cocktail party tonight and he's
Yes.
going to have a lot to talk about.
Just the way I took it. Nothing. There's no feeling, no nothing.
Inside, not from what's in your brain.
I am an intellectual, whether I like it or not, and therefore, to the extent that I sort of downplay my emotions, to that extent, can I live in this society? I am what I am.
I can solve this problem. I can solve this problem. Want to do an experiment with me?
Yeah.
Okay, come here. Now, we're going to solve this problem once now. Now, I want you to watch this, but we're going to conduct an experiment here that's going to be very meaningful for you to understand what the hell this is. We take that cup. We put it on top of your head. Okay, we kneel it out on one knee. Kneel down. Hold the cup. Hold the cup. Kneel down on one knee.
Wait a minute.
Hold it. Okay. Now, you know Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Nah, I don't remember.
Okay, stand up.
Now I wonder who you...
Thank you. Stand up. Stand up. Now, back up to that chair. Back up. Back up. Back up. Now, sit down. Now, hold that cup on your head. Hold that cup on... Now, sit down. Sit down. Now, are you angry at me?
No. I would be in another situation.
You know why you're not angry at me?
In life, I would
You know
be.
why you're not angry? I just humiliated you. Is anyone in this room angry at me?
I am.
God bless you.
I am.
God bless you.
I hope you will.
God bless you. Now, everybody in this room got caught in, so are you mad at me for what I did to him?
I would never do that.
Huh? I didn't ask you that.
Yes,
You're
because
doing
I
the
think
same
it's
thing now that
dumb.
Nancy did. If that was me, I would not do that.
Yes.
Were you mad at me?
Yes. For
Why?
making him look like a fool.
But he's not embarrassed.
In the context, I would be outside.
So you don't want... Are you
I'd be
mad at
sore
me?
as hell.
You understand what I just did? What I just did, I set you up. I set up this whole room. I made everybody try to think about what was going on, and only two people felt for the man. Two people use their feelings, the rest of you using your damn minds. For us, they're going to ask you.
Dr. King explains the fears most whites have about blacks using information gathered as early as 1944 by Sweden's Gunnar Myrdal. Sex is the key threat presented, then concerns about socialization, schools, housing, and jobs. He notes that white fears then and today do not correspond to what blacks perceive to be the problem.
Blacks' primary concerns are survival, jobs, education, and while the whites are almost preoccupied with the sex threat, it is of the least concern to blacks. The white fears are based on stereotypes and attitudes learned since childhood, which Dr. King says have no foundation. He leaves the room to allow the whites to discuss their feelings honestly among themselves. He has already predicted their responses.
The final question that could be asked, and,
Is it really the centralmost question? I mean, when you think about your feelings about blacks, do you really think about whether your daughter may or may not marry a black?
It is the question that is asked of me many times.
I know, and maybe asked of you, but I'm saying, do you really think about it?
No. I don't think it's the day-to-day kind of confrontations
Do you think
that
his
need
chart is
answers
wrong?
for.
Do you think his chart is wrong?
No, I think it's quite right.
Oh, so this one particular question you just think is not really...
I think we're all
I think it's a stupid question, but it's a valid question because people ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
What was the
Most
question?
common question. The question is whether we
How
would
would you
want our
feel?
daughter to marry a
No,
black.
I would very frankly say I would not want my last daughter to marry, nor has my first one to marry a non-white. And I have a million reasons for it, rationalizations or not. For my own defenses, for my own groups, for my own group fears. In a world where the Tower of Babel could be recreated, I would have no fear at all. It's just an academic statement. I'm willing to give up my...
The question is, though, right now...
I would not want my daughter to, for her own personal happiness. I put it on that ground.
You mean you think that would be a problem with her happiness or
Yes,
yours?
it would be a problem with hers and mine, in her milieu, in the milieu, social milieu in which we both live.
You think it would be her happiness
Quite a
is then
problem.
a problem?
Quite a problem.
If it wasn't, it wouldn't be a problem to you?
No.
But there are a whole variety of other things that she may or may not do that would make her unhappy.
Many.
And do you worry about those as much?
I do. In fact, more so because I suppose, in all honesty, you say that since that is so unlikely, you tend to feel it's unlikely in the probabilities, that I worry about closer problems at hand, which I can control more.
I think we should all just answer the question, maybe go around.
Well, I answered it.
Go ahead, Rich. Yeah, I would have to say no.
I think if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her to.
I'm not sure it's easy to answer. To me, there's a lot more things to think about when you're marrying somebody, just whether they're black or white. I think I don't think I'd have too much trouble with that.
Okay. Now what I did, as they come back to the room, is I predicted what you were going to say. I predicted what you were going to say. How do you think I knew what you were going to say?
You've been through it before.
Yeah. And all white people like the same way on that question. We are never affirmed, we're always talked about. No one will affirm us. You will discuss. And if anybody gives you a negative attitude, they will not be challenged or labeled as being wrong. You ask him questions. You do not say you have no right to say that, because there are people. My friends, this is a gut of the issue. Blacks are not looked upon by whites as being equal. You discuss us, you never affirm us. Now, please understand this. This is a problem. We are looked upon as people outside of personage. You have to rationalize an alibi and argue as to whether or not you would want your daughter to marry. Hey, man, I marry who I damn please. I'm a man. And you have no right to impose what you want on me.
A recording of a racist minister's prayer is played. It angers the group. Yet King contends that the hardcore racist does not hurt blacks as much as the white liberal does.
This hour we're grateful. Grateful that we're white people and have one thing in common that those who are our enemies do not. And that is prayer and communion with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Nancy, when you heard that record and the implication of what that was, how did that make you feel?
Sick.
How did it make you feel, Pat?
Upset.
How did it make you feel, Rich?
Ashamed.
Roz?
I was angry, but I just thought it was typical of that.
Sick is pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel angry about it.
Angry, okay. Now, why were you angry, Bert?
Because racism was cloaked in something that should be basically decent. You know, people's religious feeling, people's feeling about God. It's the worst kind of hypocrisy.
Everybody got it there. Tell them what it is.
Because of religion.
Because of religion. Which is the worst reason in the world. It should be because of humanity. You put your religion on top as being insulted over and above the humanness of people. And that's the crap that white people put down to us. I predicted what he was going to do.
King says racism in its black-white context is a system created by white institutions. He says there is not as such an equivalent black racism. The prejudice which builds in blacks is a backlash of anger to the white system. He demonstrates to the group how the system evolves, spiraling out of the attitude that blacks and whites are different. The black ghetto of a city forms as whites find housing advantages elsewhere and take advantage of them. Color distinctions are institutionalized, of course, in schools.
Wow! Now it's time to go to school. Well, what school should they go to? Well, now, as this stuff piles up here and they build up low-cost housing, is built by who? The housing authority, right? And what color are they? White. And now the whites move over here in the suburbs and they build themselves a school, right? And now over here, we wind up with a black school, right? And now the school board, what color are they? They got to make a decision. They say, what school shall children go to? Now, they don't come out and say, God bless us white people, so you can say that makes you sick, that makes you angry. They say something else that's just as damnable. They say, the neighborhood school is best. Damn right it is for white people. Because any child that goes to an all-black school will always wind up with an educational potential cut off. I don't give a damn how smart the child is. It has nothing to do with the child's brain. It has to do with the social disorganization that black children come up with, that white children do not have to face. And when a white child goes to that school, all he faces is the lesson. When the black child goes to that school, that teacher must face the poverty of the child, the hunger of the child. There is no father in that house. You know what, no father in the house? Because the white family structure, 9% of all white families do not have fathers in the homes. But 35% of all black families do not have men in the homes. And that's a white family structure, that's a black family structure, and what do you expect out of that child? And now the child can't get an education, they drop out. 3 blacks drop out of high school to every one white before he or she reaches the 3rd grade. I mean the 12th grade. Now what's going to happen? They're going to steal. Crime. 60 to 70% of all the crime in Philadelphia comes out of the black community. You know who commits those crimes? 75% of all felonies are committed by blacks between the ages of 16 and 24, and they all are high-skilled. Ouch! But the neighborhood school is best. Let's not buzz them. Who are we kidding? And all this started with these people, the realtor, the summer landlord, the employer, the welfare system, the housing authority. Now they steal, let's get the police. Bam! And guess what color they are? Boom! Then the whites move out here. Law and order, get out of town. And they say, get them. Boom! Uh-oh, that's where it starts. That's the cause of the riots. Every major riot in this country was occasioned by the white policemen interacting with the blacks in the ghetto. When that happens, you get this. Boom! Black Panthers. I hate white. Off the pig. Off the pig. And now the white person down here looks over here and sees the Black Panther and he says, I would admit that there are white racists if you will admit that there are baloney. That's not a black racist. There's no such thing as black racism. Racism is a system where institutions, patterns, and habits tends to have an adverse effect upon a minority group. This is causation. This is effect. And you cannot compare them. You kicked me in my butt, I'm going to scream. And then you're going to get on me because I scream too loud. Blacks react to white people. They do not act on them.
Dr. King and the blacks again leave the room because of continued opposition from whites. Before they exit, Dr. King leaves the group with this question. Could a white person receive equal justice from a black judge? Something interesting takes place during the exchange. Whites who were at first insensitive to blacks now try to redirect those who seem determined to cling to their prejudices.
White, that's what I hear him saying. In other words, our problem now is with each other.
He's saying,
where the solution is.
But I hear it otherwise. I agree that the problem is not with blacks. It is with whites, but not with whites as a generalization. With some whites, and even to say with most whites, and with white racist society.
I have to say, the thing that's a problem with that is, we may be able to say now, okay, it's not all whites, it's just a generalization, but what he's talking about is a valid generalization. If you're black walking the streets, Philadelphia, like any place else, this applies. This applies. Whether or not it's you or me out there causing it, it applies.
Yeah,
I think that's the point of this.
But you
so
can't
generalization, to say that's just a generalization is to say zero.
No, but you can't just say, present the picture that he says, which is, let us say, truthful, but it's not accurate because it
What's
leaves...
not accurate about that?
I'll tell you why. It's truthful. In other words, he presents that. It's a one-level thing because he leaves out all of the other factors which are going to mitigate and change that static picture.
But the fact remains, if you walk...
No, wait. I didn't say it's not enough. I can't judge about the soonness or the too lateness of it. I don't know the tempo of the thing. To a person who's in the group which needs remedy, it is not too soon.
That's the same shuffle and dance, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, now,
if I walk the streets and a policeman somehow has reason to interfere with my movement on the street, he treats me as a citizen with rights. And if I'm black, he doesn't. I think that's a valid generalization.
That's an invalid generalization.
Not to my observation. I live right in the center of this city. And I'm watching. If I'm a street vendor in Philadelphia selling hot dogs, it's one thing, but if I'm a black selling things on the street, that's a lot different. What's the difference?
Do you expect to be treated differently? The question that he raised to me: do you expect to be treated differently if you went before a black judge?
Don't you think that's what would happen? If they were the power structure?
No. But they're not the power
and they had been the power structure for 400 years or 500 years? That's what he's saying, not just tomorrow.
Not just...
Obviously, there are black judges who are not doing that.
Intellectualizing again on him, and that's what he's angry about.
Right.
Yeah, I think...
Bert couldn't give him a straight answer, like Roxanne said. Jail. Or feeling humiliated.
The point is, how
you're making excuses for that now. You are. Because you're used to your system, and you know that you get off of it.
We all have trained intellect.
I have never, since the age of whatever it is, when you begin to use your intellect,
what do you think? We just got off the school bus, we don't know anything about it. We know how to think. We know how to think too, but that's not, he's not asking us just to reason out a protected response. He's not asking for a protected response.
But my whole life is one of protected responses and
it's too late for you then. So I think you should close your mouth and open your ears.
Well, the point is,
and
I not only that, but my legs and my backside and my brain and my mouth do exactly what he's saying we should do every minute of the day, every month, every year of the day, for the past 50 years.
I'm not questioning you personally, then, but if you stand in the way, you are part of the problem. That's well-known
fact. What's the big problem about this group is that no one is supposed to know about our backgrounds.
The problem to the point we could be here.
We're not talking about
it. It doesn't have to be that. If Bert can give him a straight answer, that's all he's asking for.
I told him I did not expect to go to jail. Merely because I fully do not expect, because I really believe that although it may not be as true as often, it may not be as true as often as it should be, because I really do believe that a black can get justice.
But he turned the cards on you, Bert.
And I believe that I can get justice.
You can't put your mind into that situation.
Yeah,
that's what is wrong here. That's why you can't understand.
Well, I'm not so sure he can't put his mind in that. I'm not so sure he can.
All right, then you won't accept it. So then maybe that makes you like the preacher down south that says, I'm a racist. God bless us because we're white and they're black and save us from the devil.
But the things are not analogous, and you know it.
They are.
See, he seems to think that the world is divided between those people over there, like the minister, and the realtor, and the people who are on the school board. I mean, I know that there are a significant, although not a majority number of white people who have fought against those real estate practices, who have fought against school desegregation.
That isn't the argument. That is not what we're trying to argue here. When he started that, I thought, well, here we go back to the 60s. But he was trying to show us something very clear, a process that has, come about. All right?
But nobody denies it. That's the map of what happened. I don't think that necessarily proves what he says it proves, though.
Don't forget what he said, that before with what is it, cause? No, like whatever the thing was where it said why white people won't do anything because we don't want to lose our friends, we don't want to lose our social position, we don't want to lose our job. Now, if you're a realtor, and I know something about that, if you're a realtor and you have a chance to sell a house to a black person, and say you're the first one in a pretty decent neighborhood that has never had black people before, you don't want to do it.
We
you
did
don't
it in
want
Winfield.
You don't want to do it because you're a realtor now.
We did it.
We've done it before,
But
we did it
hey, look, it's
exactly.
been done in the Northwest. It's been done in Winfield.
I don't think
mean,
it happened.
It's happened.
I think an actual
I'll give
fact,
you proof
regardless
of
of
it.
whether or not
After the show is over, talk to Stan.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll know who we are.
You don't know anybody's background here.
I mean, that's one of
what's
the
causing
problems.
But the
between
fact
us.
is that
There are
realize
people
whether
there
they're
are
no,
lifelong
they don't
lines
do
for
it.
black people in this room and for white people.
But
I don't like the way they're relating to it.
Thank
Obviously,
God.
they're not.
Thank God for understanding. We're moving on. The next step is that this isn't just an academic thing. What this does, it produces death. Because of this system and because of these institutions, what happens to black people is that the white people in America, there are 190 million white people in America. There are 22.5 million black people in America. Not one white man in America has any problem in this country because of any of these factors. Now, they have personal problems, but none of them are associated with race. Point number 2, black people live 10 years less than white people in America. The white lifespan in America is 68.9. That's the average age for whites in America. The lifespan for black people is 57.6. Blacks live almost 10 years less than white people. Point number 4, the problem I'm having in this room is the fact that if I keep arguing and fighting for what's going on here, I'll drop dead on this platform. You know why? The number one heart killer, the number one killer among all black people is high blood pressure.
Right. That's right. Definitely right.
I got it.
I have it too.
Every member of my family, and all, you know how we get it? Tell them how we get it, Eric.
Trying to make people understand banging on doors and no one listening.
You argue, you arguing to us? Look, wait a minute, Stanton, look at me. When you argue into my experience, you are contributing to my death. And that's not all. When you will not let me explain my experience to you, our babies die. 10 black babies die in America to every 3 white before it is born. Because of this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. This is not theory. This is the life of every black person in this room. And please do not intellectualize with our lives and the lives of our children. This is real. Now, there's only one hope left for us. And I saw that hope come to life in this room. The only answer for black people is for whites to understand and challenge other whites who do not understand. Because I cannot make you see, but white people can when they get mad enough. So the key to this problem starts right in this room. Stop trying to find fault with me and start dealing with the reality, what's happening to black people and how white people are avoiding it and how you in these boxes must say to this white man, you're wrong, Stan. You're wrong, Bert. You are wrong. And when you say you are wrong to a white man, blacks lose their frustration. I stood outside that room and I was proud, man, to see that top row come to fight for black folks. And I was ashamed of you, Bert, because you turned to fight the people that were trying to make him understand the problems of black people. Instead of you turning around to make Stanton see, you jumped in the back row upon other people. And let me tell you something else. The worst enemy that black people have is the white liberal.
Until now, King has put the whites in a position of helplessness through a method of unfair black control. He apologizes for methods, but not for need, and offers to change his manner.
Now, what white
Simple
people-
communication.
Okay, here's how white people proved to us they meant what they said. You see, what happened is, I have been a slave master. You have been a slave. You've been in my system. So now, so that you will know that I am telling the truth, I want you to know this, that I am now going to sign this Emancipation Proclamation. Feel better now?
See, King, got your name on it?
Now you trust me now?
No.
Hey.
Okay, then I'll tell you what I'll do now. I shall now become an equal opportunity employer.
Okay, a little better trust.
Now, how many of you would like to work for me? Anybody catch the message here?
Oh, yeah.
You get the message? Explain it to them, Eric, what really this means. So now explain how blacks feel about whites so they get this transference. Explain it to them.
You know, words and promises are empty. You know, it's the action. If you say you believe he's an equal employment opportunity, an equal employer, but only one of you is willing to work for him.
But hold it. Don't tell me I am equal while one of my best workers is white.
Two things. It affects me job-wise because I get frustrated by all American standards I have, quote, made it, education, but I see a turning back, you know, affirmative inaction, if I can call it that. That institutions, one in which I work, you know, say that we're interested in increasing the black presence, but when it comes down really to the money, okay, and actually doing something, that institution really doesn't change. It's had another effect, good or bad, I'm not too sure, but as one who was educated in white institutions for about 15 years, I have learned to deal with white people, ask things, and to really separate them from myself.
I'm thinking about Eric a lot because we have had interaction outside of this room, other places, and I understand him now.
Okay.
I never understood Eric before. Now you know, huh? It's a one-to-one. I know where you are.
Well, I was impressed with the same action that you did as Pat, as writing it down as pieces of paper, but still they're only pieces of paper until something else far more real happens than just writing it down.
Right, and that's what blacks have been subject to, these laws. And well, you got a civil rights law, you know, you got the equal opportunity program, and they think we should be happy. That means nothing to us because we never see those things come to life. Yes, Bert?
I would like to point out the fact that we live in a country that, quote, is trying to correct these ills. And they do it by cash investments or loans or grants to promote black business for 10% of the population and doing nothing about the 90% of the population that would never consider buying from those businesses.
Dr. King deals with the cause and effect of racism by drawing a chart depicting the racial and social hierarchy at work today. White males are at the top of the chart and in control of social institutions.
Beneath them are white females, followed by the black males, and the black women at the bottom of the scale. Within this framework, institutional racism is formed, and it is perpetuated.
She supports this whole system. It all comes down on her. Rich, Pat, will you come down here, please? Be careful.
Be careful.
Madeline, will you come down here, please? Okay, Bert, you come here, please. I gotta have you stand. Come on, stand. Okay. Okay, Blackbird comes down. All right, now, this is typically how the institution starts off. It starts off with majority white male, and next females, and then a black. Okay, that's where it starts off. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you all to join hands in a circle. Okay? And then I'm going to ask Fred to come here a minute. Will you give Fred his instructions, please? Now, here's what I want you to do. She's going to have Fred to come in and try to break in the middle of this circle. Don't let him in. Keep your hands tight. No matter what he does, he might try to go under there, he might try to go over there, but keep together. Whatever you do, don't let him in. I want him to get a feeling of how frustrated it is to try to get into a situation. That's frustrating. Is that? Okay, let's go. Okay. Here he comes. Okay. All right. Fred. Okay, Fred. Fred, how did that make you feel?
Well, it's frustrating when you're trying to get in and everybody blocks you.
Okay, Gene, you try. You try to get it. You see the space. Now, don't hurt it.
Okay, he knows. He's got it.
Okay. How does that feel?
It's hopeless.
Okay, Nancy, you try. Be careful coming down, Nancy.
That's right.
Okay, Nancy. All right. Okay, Eric, you try.
Oh, I'm going to let him in.
No, you can't. You can't. You're the egghead of
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to try.
Lock him out, girl.
Now I'm apprehensive.
You're looking for the weakest point.
Gotta get some help.
Now, on that chart there, I have predicted everything that has happened. To show you that institutions operate the same way. What you just did there was so foolish. Look at you. Now, why are you standing there now? Institutions do not move without order.
That's right. That's true. That's true. That's true. I never.
Now, let's slowly look at what happened there. White institutional behavior. It takes orders without question. It takes an insensitive order. What order did I give you?
Don't let him get in.
Why? Why? Huh?
You didn't tell us why.
I did tell you why. Is that up there? I forgot to put that up there. Yeah. It will forget why it was doing this to begin with. I did tell you why. What did I tell you?
Well, it would make people understand what it felt like.
I did not say that. Displays no feeling to an individual. I didn't say no people. I was talking about, who was that? Fred. You forgot that Fred was a person. Right. I gave you a mission, suddenly Fred became an obstacle and not a person. Right. So you forget individualities. Then you knock him back against the table. It inflicts hurt without remorse. And now look what Bert did. Eric got up to get in here, and Bert says, Black Bert says, I'm going to let him in. Got funny.
But he did it.
I know. Let's get to that one, too.
Because his loyalty to the institution was great.
Minorities are stronger than the majority group. The women in that group were just as strong as the men. Why? Because they're going to prove that they're just as strong as these other guys, and when you eventually become institutionalized, you lose whatever is expected of you. And they expected you to conform. Nobody's worried about whether Bert was going to let Eric in, or nobody's worried about whether or not, who was that, Nancy, going to let Nancy. Everybody, that group felt so good to each other that it had no fear. They didn't want to break that up. Once you institutionalize yourselves, it becomes a solid thing that conforms and keeps the thing going. Women reject women and blacks reject blacks. And we've been speaking for the last hour about how unfair men treat women and how unfair whites treat blacks. And once you institutionalize a black And once you institutionalize our women, they act just like white folks. There's not a white person in this room that is not by nature a humane, decent person who rejects and would reject the whole concept of racism if only they didn't have that institutionalized practices that molds them and keeps them doing the same damn thing without stopping to think about what's happening. I hope this program, to this point, has shown you that, because if you see it now, then everything is beautiful. Everything is beautiful.
Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Everything is beautiful in its own way. A starry summer night or a snow-covered winter's day, and everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. There is none so blind as he who will not